Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, is Osimhen really linked to Forest? Could Ndiaye be Forest's first signing of the January window? A fresh striker being linked to the City ground, and a bid rejected for Diouf. All this and plenty more coming up today on your latest Forest news. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. And boy, there's some crazy stories going around right now. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to FFTV for your daily Forest news. And if you want exclusive content, including transfer links, go sign up on our Patreon, scan this QR code, or click on the link that's pinned in the comments. All right, there's only one place to start, and this is on Victor Osimhen. The Napoli striker, currently on loan at Galatasaray, has been linked with Forest apparently. And let me just dismiss this right off the bat. The links are so weak from sources that are so weak. The idea of it is fantasy right now. I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, Osimhen wanted something like 400k to move to Chelsea in the summer just gone. Chelsea didn't even stoop to that level. And then he's gone out on loan from Napoli to Galatasaray. Now, don't get me wrong, this guy is a top tier striker. Some may call him world class, I wouldn't, but he's definitely on his way. A real big household name. I don't really need to give him many introductions or tell you about the amount of goals that he has scored. He speaks for himself. The Nigerian international as well was away at AFCON, so knows very well the likes of Ola Aina and Taiwo Awoniyi. But to think he's coming to Forest, especially in this transfer window, is make-believe. So I just look, part of the reason we do these videos, and not just to tell you the rumours that are linked, but also the rumours that are incorrect. And for me, this is one of them. Even the story that's claiming that he's linked is saying nothing is going to happen this January. And Forest are considering going for him in the summer if they secure Champions League football. And if that happens, then do I put it past the Greek father to pull this one out the bag? Of course I don't. I think he'd be definitely on the radar. But there's a lot of if, buts and maybes. And maybe people have just been listening to FFTV and the crazy shopping list. I think, was it Ant or someone brought it up yesterday on the transfer live stream that we did, and Goat talking about it from you guys. But look, beyond the realms of possibility, this one for me is a massive, almost fake news story. But do I expect Greek father to be looking at him? 100%. But Usman ain't coming to Forest this January. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but with all this spreading around social media and the internet, we had to address it. Would you take Osimhen? Of course you would. What Forest fan would say no to that? Would he challenge Chris Wood? Let's be honest, he's better than Chris Wood. And this would be the recruitment. This would be a marquee signing that the Greek father has the potential to pull off. But it ain't happening, guys. If it does, I'll be doing backflips freaking with no clothes on. That's how excited I would be. So, never say never in football, but this one is not happening. Let's move on to the next story. All right, let's move on to a story that definitely does have legs, and it actually looks like this could be one of Forest's first signing, and that's Musa Ndiaye from Anderlecht. Yes, that team. He is getting close to signing for Forest. The 22-year-old left back, who has literally played a handful of games in his career, I think 25 in his whole career, with 1 goal and 2 assists, could be on the move to the City ground. This is a left back position, which, well, we'll talk about what it means for the other left backs. But there have been some quotes released from him. Talking to D Sport, he has said, "There are discussions, but I leave them to my agent and I remain focused on my performances. But as the league, I love Spain. My dream would be to go back there." Now, why is he saying that? Because he started in Barca's under-19 teams for the majority of his youth career. and then obviously moved across to Belgium, and now there are talks about movements. He says as well, I am in a very good dynamic. I hope to continue with this. Last year an injury kept me away from the field for 5 months. When I returned, my replacement had emerged and I had to fight back for my place. So let's talk about this player a bit. Reminds me a little of Loku, who Forest were linked with in the summer just gone, but Loku sustained a long-term injury very early on in the season. And clearly Nuno still wants a left back, because we've got another player we'll talk about in a second who can play at left back. This one though, Anderlecht want about 10 million euros for him, in excess they say, which is about 8 million pounds. His valuation is about 3 million. He is a good player. He has done well this season in a very limited capacity in terms of the exposure that he's been to senior football with. Is he worth a risk? Can he come straight in at left back for Forest? Well, with Nico Williams playing so well, currently Moreno's loan still, it looks like, maybe on until the end of the season with Forest. I don't know if he slots himself straight in. This could be a project player that Forest are looking to pick up, who may break into the team. He's from Senegal himself. He is a very determined young man. He is 22 years old. And I don't know. I can see him having the potential. But is this window about signing for the future for Forest, or do we need to strengthen if we want to target Europe? I need to clear my throat. Excuse me. So am I up for this one at 8 million-ish pounds? It ain't going to be, a big splash out. It's not going to be a huge risk. I think he does have potential. I'm not convinced he can come straight into the first team though. But what do you guys think? Clearly the talks are ongoing between Forest and his agent, and this one could be one of the first over the line. Get your thoughts in. All right, let's talk about a striker who is being linked to Forest. It ain't Osimhen, guys. This is Peter Musa, the Croatian international. Well, he's had 6 appearances for Croatia. Plays in the almighty club of FC Dallas over in the MLS. Has a decent scoring record there, 30 games and 16 goals. He is literally a slightly younger version of Chris Wood, in my opinion. Not as good, and with the touch of Taiwo, if I'm being honest with you. He has an eye for goal, right-footed player, 6'3", quite tall, a little bit quicker than Chris Wood. And Forest are being linked with him, and this one ain't doing it for me. If he was a bit younger, if he was one of these project players, I could understand it. But I'm going to go all ant on you guys here. I respect the European leagues, and I love the potential from the Brazilian leagues. We've seen the likes of Murillo, Danilo, etc. coming through. But the MLS, I have to draw the line. I can't take the MLS seriously still as a league. Shout out to our American viewers. This is nothing against them. I'm just talking about the quality of the league. Now, this does not mean that within the MLS there are not good players, but traditionally, go back 10, 15 years, the MLS was basically the retirement home for players. Lampard went out there, Gerrard went out there, Beckham went out there. That would be like that late cash in they do, and that's technically now switched over to the Saudi league. So I don't take the MLS league seriously unless our American viewers are going to argue with me on it. And in terms of Musa himself, yes, he is a decent striker, but he just has too many bad traits that I don't like. It's the first touch issue for me. It's just too Taiwo-like. So Forest are being linked with him. I'm not for this one. I'm not. But maybe you guys like what you see of him. Maybe, you watch him week in, week out. But from what I've seen of him, this one ain't for me. Give me Osimhen instead, man. I'd rather believe that rumour. So get your thoughts in down below. But that's the other striker being linked to Forest. All right, let's talk about another player that's being linked to Forest, and that's Hasj. No, not the one he used to play at Liverpool. This is Hasj Melik Diouf. He's a fullback at Sparta Prague, and he's had a bid rejected for him, not by Forest, but by Crystal Palace. Now, why am I bringing this to your attention? Have we suddenly changed to CP TV? No. because Forest are 100% scouting this player and are very interested in him. He's a versatile player. I put him more as a fullback, but he could play wing back and he can play left mid. He can also play at centre back. He's been with them for about a year and there's definitely a lot of hype about him. Now, the bid that got rejected from Palace was 15 million euros, about 12 million quid. And Forest are keeping an eye on this one. As we just showed you, Forest are already looking for a left back, and this would be a secondary target on their list. Now, out of the two left backs we've spoken about, Hasj for me is more established in what he's doing. He's someone who could come in my opinion, and challenge Nico Williams, Alex Moreno, etc. for a first team place. But he is going to cost a lot more. And Forest have seen where that barometer is now. As we've just told you, Crystal Palace have had about £12 million rejected. This isn't big money that we're talking about. A lot of you are asking about PSR, how tight are Forest on PSR. As far as we understand, there's no PSR worries this year. The account got handed in on the 31st of December and there's no real talk about Forest having issues, and Forest can now look at this January transfer window and strengthen correctly. But this feeling is starting to become in this window that Forest are looking ahead rather than at the current. Now that just might be because the first stories are these ones that have come out, and in the background there's talks about more established players. There's the Evan Ferguson story that we've brought to you, that's still ticking along. But at the moment it seems the real focus firstly is a left back. Now, what does that mean for the likes of Moreno? Forest could terminate his contract in this window and send him back to Aston Villa, but for that to happen they would need to recruit a new left back, hence why we're hearing these two stories. However, I haven't heard anything on Moreno going back just yet. This is me speculating about what Nuno wants to do. And by the way, I'm not against Moreno going back. I like the idea of us having players who are not loanee players, that are our actual squad players that Nuno can develop and push on and grow and make better players. You know, sometimes with the loanee, I take you guys back to Lodi. Oh, I loved Lodi. I fell for him head over heels. And he's not with us anymore. But if we get our own left backs, then feel free to fall in love. As the saying goes, never fall in love with a loanee. But back to Hasj, for me, this is one I would definitely be very interested in. I can see him coming into the Premier League and pushing for a first team place as well. But it's going to cost us a bit of money. What do you guys think about him? Let me know in the comments down below. And that brings you up to date with your latest Forest transfer news for today. Fear not, there's more transfer videos coming up, a Wolves preview, everything else you need. And if you didn't see our transfer live yesterday, go check it out. I'll leave it on the end screen. If you want to support us on Patreon and see some more exclusive videos on our beloved Forest, then go and scan this QR code or click on the link that's pinned in the comments. Please don't forget on here to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.